Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. The Warriors have been linked to several great centers, but none have been signed. The most quoted name is still Nikola Vucevic, who is in great form this season. It seems like the right name for the Warriors. However, some NBA analysts think differently and that Nikola Vucevic would not bring as much production to the Warriors as was imagined. Therefore, some NBA analysts say that signing Nikola Vucevic would not be a good option for the Warriors. Bringing in a great center is a priority for next season, but would Nikola Vucevic be the ideal name? Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the Golden State Warriors front office have drawn plenty of plaudits for their trade deadline activity, with the blockbuster move for Jimmy Butler paying immediate dividends over the past 6 weeks. The Warriors are now an astounding 16-2 with Butler in the lineup, but perhaps the front office should get just as much credit for what they didn't do as much as for what they did. The Butler move came a day before the deadline, leaving enough time for Golden State to consider another significant trade to shake up their roster. The Warriors dodged a bullet in not trading for Nikola Vucevic. Perhaps the biggest name constantly linked to the Warriors prior to the deadline was Nikola Vucevic, with the Chicago Bulls center having been a prominent trade candidate for months as both teams floundered in their respective conference. Even in the final 24 hours before the deadline, there were reports that Golden State and Chicago were still engaged in trade discussions surrounding Vucevic, who's had a remarkably efficient offensive season. A deal was ultimately not forthcoming, which may have proved the right decision for the Warriors, who've since enjoyed a 16-3 record since the deadline. It's not so much about Vucevic and what he's done in recent weeks, but more so about the Warrior roster and specific individuals who may have been impacted by the trade. The whole Vucevic idea emanated from the need for a shooting big man, but that's dissipated anyway with the emergence of Quinton Post, who's drilling an extraordinary 43.1% from beyond the arc in his rookie season. The 7-footer went 6 of 9 from beyond the arc against the Toronto Raptors on Thursday, and has outplayed Vucevic in the 2 meetings between Golden State and Chicago. Ultimately, the Warriors would have asked themselves, why be paying Vucevic $20 million when our rookie center is an even better 3-point shooter? Any trade for Vucevic would have required Golden State to give up at least 2 veteran pieces in Gary Payton II and Kevin Looney to match salary. The former has had a career rejuvenation of sorts in recent weeks, with Payton scoring in double figures 6 times and shooting nearly 50% from 3 since the All-Star break. Payton now figures to be a key piece to the playoff rotation, particularly given the Warriors lost their best point-of-attack defender in Andrew Wiggins. Post also appears to be a big part of the present and future, and otherwise may have been hidden out of the rotation had Vucevic been acquired. Steve Kerr has shown that his crunch-time lineup features Draymond Green as a small-ball center, providing further evidence that the Warriors dodged a bullet by not orchestrating a Vucevic trade. Brandon Podziemski gets major opportunity with Warriors in wake of significant injury. Time for a grueling test for the youngster. As the Golden State Warriors narrowly defeated the Toronto Raptors 117-114 on Thursday night, superstar guard Stephen Curry left the game with what was later revealed to be a pelvic contusion. While there is not yet a set timetable for Curry's return, the 2x MVP will at least miss Saturday's game against the Atlanta Hawks before being re-evaluated on Monday. As the Warriors chase a playoff berth, they now have their work even more cut out for them in the tightly packed Western Conference. As of late, Curry has been playing some of the best basketball of his last few seasons, averaging 25 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 6.1 assists in his last 10 games. Simultaneously, Brandon Podziemski has also largely emerged from the sophomore slump that plagued his early season efforts. In his last 10 games, Podziemski has averaged 13.1 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. Even through his injury woes this season, Podziemski has been one of Golden State's most pivotal players, and he will now presumably need to take a larger role in Curry's absence. Brandon Podziemski's ball handling could be a major factor for Warriors down the stretch. While Podziemski struggled mightily entering his second year in the NBA, averaging only 8 points across his first 30 games of the season, a 12-game absence as a result of an abdominal strain in January seemingly helped reset him mentally. He has now fully taken over the starting shooting guard role from the streaky Buddy Hield, and apart from a recent 5-game absence due to injury, has returned to the exciting form that Warriors fans saw during his rookie year. Yet many of the 22-year-old's struggles this season have been a result of his usage. For much of the season, Podziemski was expected to be the primary ball handler and shot creator of the bench unit. Where Podziemski is most comfortable is playing alongside Curry, whose dynamic off-ball movement and passing abilities help Podziemski to operate more smoothly within Golden State's offense. Now, in Curry's absence, there are a number of lineups that head coach Steve Kerr can, and probably will go to. However, one thing is certain: Podziemski will be relied upon to take a significant portion of Curry's playmaking duties. While this is not necessarily an ideal scenario for the Warriors, whose offense centers so closely around Curry, it could be an opportunity for Podziemski to take a major step forward in his game. While this is not necessarily an ideal scenario for the Warriors, whose offense centers so closely around Curry, it could be an opportunity for Podziemski to take a major step forward in his game. As Golden State looks beyond this current season, and perhaps beyond the Curry era itself, Podziemski certainly has to play a large part in their plans for keeping the team relevant, and his development could be a silver lining as the team pushes through the final stretch of the season. Jimmy Butler now has a chance to prove even greater worth after Warriors trade. This could be a defining moment for Jimmy. As the Golden State Warriors defeated the Toronto Raptors 117-114 on Thursday night, fans watched in shock as superstar Stephen Curry left the game after dropping heavily to the floor on an attempted drive to the rim in the third quarter. The team later revealed following an MRI that Curry suffered a pelvic contusion, with the 2x MVP set to miss Saturday's game against the Atlanta Hawks before being re-evaluated on Monday. Yet in the wake of Curry's exit from the game, Jimmy Butler, Golden State's blockbuster trade deadline acquisition, stepped up and secured another win with some big plays down the stretch that included a crucial block to help to seal the game in the final 30 seconds. Butler posted his second triple-double as a Warrior, scoring 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 12 assists in one of his best games yet in his new home. Now, with Curry out for at least one game and presumably longer, Butler has his work cut out for him to keep Golden State in a playoff spot, and this could be his chance to show the dominance that took the Miami Heat to 2 NBA Finals appearances. Butler needs to take over the Warriors in Curry's absence. Despite the Warriors' recent hot stretch, which took them from an outside play-in team to a sneaky championship contender, they are still surrounded by traffic in their push to earn a bona fide playoff berth. The Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Clippers both sit only a game behind Golden State for the 6th seed in the Western Conference, with both teams having been playing very well of late. The Warriors simply cannot afford to lose a step in Curry's absence. With Curry on the floor this season, Golden State has posted an offensive rating of 119.4 per 100 possessions, but with Curry off the floor, this number drops to a mediocre 108.3. A difference of 11.1 points per 100 possessions. Yet the Warriors certainly still have some offensive dynamism even in Curry's absence. Among two-man combinations on the team's roster, the four with the highest net rating include Jimmy Butler as part of the pairing. Butler and Curry have the 5th highest. While Butler has largely taken a step back in regard to his scoring so far in his tenure with the Warriors, his playmaking and willingness to be part of a larger effort to help the team win has been incredibly impressive. The veteran forward still certainly holds the capability to lead the team in scoring, having scored 20 or more points in 16 games this season. While the Warriors' upcoming schedule is relatively easy with games against the Atlanta Hawks, Miami Heat, New Orleans Pelicans and San Antonio Spurs, things will quickly get much more difficult if Curry's absence is prolonged. Therefore, Butler now has the chance to show that he can truly take over the team and lead them through the gauntlet to a playoff berth. Jimmy Butler has secretive approach ahead of Miami Heat return, Draymond Green reveals, "I'm excited too." Draymond Green has revealed what the newest Golden State Warriors player Jimmy Butler's mentality is like ahead of the game against his former team Miami Heat next week. The former most improved player moved to the Warriors just before the trade deadline after his tenure in Miami ended with tensions between Butler and Pat Riley. However, Things have all gone well for him as the Warriors are looking like a rejuvenated unit with Butler in the lineup. The team are 15-2 with the six-time All-Star, and his contributions are making them look like a tough side to beat. With the season reaching its business end, the fixtures are going to get tough for the Warriors, but all eyes are certainly going to be on the game against Miami Heat next week. Draymond Green reveals Jimmy Butler has not spoken about the game. Jimmy Butler will face his former side the Miami Heat on Wednesday, March 25, which will be his first encounter against them since leaving the franchise. Draymond Green revealed Butler is going to be on 10 but is unsure if he is going to let his teammates know about how he feels going into the game. Speaking on Draymond Green's show with Baron Davis, Green said, there's two different types of people that deal with situations like this. There's the person that doesn't say anything, and it means a lot to them, but they just don't say anything. And then there's the person that's like, nah, I'm going to get this. And the reality is, we all know Jimmy's mentality. He going to be on 10. What I'm excited to see is he going to be the guy that lets everybody else know, and meaning us around him, he on 10? Nonetheless, I think the atmosphere is going to be a great atmosphere. Green revealed Butler will make himself known with a few plays during the game. I think there's going to be some plays that Jimmy going to make it known in that game. And I'm looking forward to that smoke, added Green. Green also excited to play against former Warriors teammates. Green will also be facing his former teammates Andrew Wiggins and Kyle Anderson in the game against Heat. Both the players were sent to Heat in the Butler trade, but their team have been struggling and are currently on a 9-game losing streak. Wiggins won a championship with the Warriors in 2022, meanwhile Anderson was part of the team at the start of the season and helped them get off to a 12-3 start. Speaking on the return of his former teammates, Green said, Wiggs is going to come, and Wiggs is going to want to play great, Kyle Anderson going to get minutes, and he's going to want to play great. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Miami is always fun in this out, but we're going down there locked in. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be great.